You know what this sounds like to me?
What's that?
It sounds like car insurance. Like when
I
something
know, right?
happened. Like when I was like 19, I got somebody hit my car in a parking lot, completely obliterated the like one side of the bumper. So I take it in and the insurance adjuster looks at it and she says, "Oh, well, we're going to have to replace the bumper, but we noticed there's a scuff on the other side of the bumper and it looks like about $400 worth of damage. So you'll have to pay $400 and we'll replace the bumper." And I
Yeah.
said, "If I don't pay $400, you won't replace the bumper," which is what you're recommending. And they're like, "No, we're going to replace the bumper." And I was like, "Well, if it makes you feel any better, I'll give you a baseball bat and you can hit the new bumper and put the scuff back in it. As long as you just replace the bumper and don't charge me $400. Like,
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
Welcome to the Cable Club. We're a retro video gaming podcast where three guys who play old games learn just how fun car crashes can be, and we're linking up to talk about the games that we love. We're your hosts. I'm Steve,
I'm Dan.
and I'm Don.
and this is episode number 16. It's a Coliseum, and our two games this week are Twisted Metal 2 and Vigilante 8 Second Offense. So get ready to upload data from us to you. But first, let me paint a picture. It's 1999. You're just on the cusp of middle school. It's a Friday night. You've got a couple of friends over. You've got pizza and soda and whatever heavy metal your parents let you listen to. Tonight, you guys are destroying each other to the sounds of heavy metal in righteous fury. Car mayhem, machine guns, bombs, lasers, lightning, anything you can get your wheels on. It's a free-for-all extravaganza and everyone's pumped up. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's Twisted Metal 2 in Vigilante 8 Second Offense.
Hell yeah.
Keep rolling.
Can we get some Fred Durst in there?
What a couple of games these are. These are wild.
Yeah.
It's like a 90s fever dream, but well, I suppose one of them is like a 70s fever dream, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a time to be alive for sure.
Aren't they all times to be alive?
Just sometimes.
Yeah.
But before we get into any of that, why don't we have Dan take it over for Question of the Week?
Alrighty.
Questions of the week. We have a couple. This is a
Two.
first in Cable Club
Two-parter.
podcast history. Yeah, two-bagger.
Twice for the same amount of money. Free.
Alright, so this first question is by Jason Best. What game do you like but also like to make fun of? He originally said this was for RPGs, but I'm going to expand it into just, games in general. My pick was Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation. And it was actually, genre refining, for survival horror. But it doesn't, go without that because it's like it had so many bad, cutscenes and voice acting. Like some
That's
iconic.
So funny you picked that game.
Yeah, but it's a good game.
It was like one of the first voice acting. It's like those people had never seen a microphone before.
Don't open that door.
Yeah, you got that one. You got the popular Jill Sandwich.
What is the Jill Sandwich? That's the second time since we started doing this podcast that somebody has mentioned
that's
that.
It's going to come down and crush you. It's like a trap inside the mansion.
All right. Yeah, so basically you can grab this like shotgun off a wall and the room like after that, so like say there's 2 rooms, so you go in this like square room, there's nothing in it, you go past that room, and in this next room there's like a shotgun above the fireplace. If you grab it off the hinges and then you go back in that square room, the doors lock, and then the ceiling starts to drop. And then if you're Chris, you just die. But if you're Jill, you get saved by Barry Burton, and that's when he goes, "You were almost a Jill sandwich."
Do you think the voice actor looked at the paper with that line on it and was like,
Like, yeah, what the hell is this?
like, could you tell in the inflection in the voice acting, you were almost a Jill sandwich?
Yeah, and then the opening cutscene of the game is pretty cringy too. Like, because like they're all running into the Spencer mansion, and then Rebecca, she's like one of the Stars members. She sees like one of her like teammates getting mauled by like zombie dogs, and she's like just sitting there, like nonchalantly going, "Joseph." Yeah, it's great.
You guys ever see a game called Vampire Survivors?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, but I know which game you're talking
I've
about.
I've only seen videos on it, but it really takes that crappy, like, stereotypical voice acting and really ramps it up if you're into that kind of thing and want to see how bad it gets.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my pick.
It's a good pick. Mine is kind of in the same vein, actually. Mine is Left 4 Dead, both 1 and 2. And I think it really stems from the ragdoll physics that Valve is kind of famous for. There's not much more satisfying than when a hunter comes flying through the air screaming and you shotgun it out of midair and his body just goes limp and he's flying and
Doing cartwheels.
yeah, I mean, the physics, he can do like any number of things, right? Like there's glitches and stuff, so he can either like flip around and limply cartwheel, or he can like sometimes just straight up fly off into the distance. If you hit him at the right point in the jump, he just doesn't stop flying up, so he'll just like careen over.
Yeah,
It's just
that was about the time
the
where
funniest thing.
Ragdoll was like popular.
Yeah,
Like until someone like figured it out, then like a lot of games started doing it, and then
or
it like
like
kind of like died out for a bit. I feel like it.
you like pump a shot into a smoker and he just like crumples, just like goes to. It's basically like all the joints just let go. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's, I hope I never have to find out if that's how it is in real life, but yeah.
One of my favorite like ragdoll physics is like when you shoot like an enemy and they like die next to a ledge and they're just like slowly like falling off.
He's sliding.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
But, obviously great game, but I think I probably got as many laughs out of it as
I remember we were playing that for a while. Left 4 Dead 2 online. That was such a good game. It's still popular today, I believe. There's a good like a fan base behind it that still
definitely.
plays the online stuff.
and you can buy it for a song.
Yeah,
That's
right.
$3 you'll ever spend.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you got, Steve?
So the reason I said it was funny is because I picked Resident Evil 5.
We're all zombies, yeah.
Yeah.
Zombies just are kind of funny.
I mean, it's just the ridiculousness of that game in general. Like, I love making fun of Wesker when he's like trying to find you. He's just like, grass.
Ah, there you are.
Found you.
And then I like making fun of the commands that you can give, like Sheva, wait, follow me, wait, follow me, wait, Sheva, hurry.
It's funny, like the hurry one's funny because it's like when you open a door that like loads into like the next area, and like Sheva's like running up to you, but you can like spam like the yell button or whatever to tell her to come to you. There was one time when I was playing, like she was like literally like right in front of me, and Chris is going, hurry, screaming in her face, like spit everywhere on her face.
And who can forget the boulder punching, right? Like,
boulder punching.
That's ridiculous.
Who needs leverage?
I don't know, man. I feel like Chris is not in the same league as Wesker. How does he do it? Like Wesker's like the superhuman, and then like Chris just like kind of goes toe to toe with him sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, that was my pick.
A couple answers for the community was Final Fantasy X with Titus. I mean, who can really forget that
Yeah.
moment? That I've played it recently. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
You're talking about the laugh, right?
Yeah,
It's supposed to
he's
be
trying to do it
awkward.
on purpose to make her laugh. So it's in context. Like, it's not like that's his actual laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it is cringe, but yeah,
It
it's
is.
supposed to be.
Who knows? Cultural differences. Who knows? And then I think it was my answer in Discord, but we kind of ran away with it. And the Fire Emblem Sacred Stone series, or the Fire Emblem series, the Sacred Stones, particularly with your pre-promote guy, Seth. He's just like a monster. Like, he goes in and people just break their bodies against him.
Yeah, I remember reading the Discord comments.
Yeah,
I think it was from Tom, where it was like, I haven't really played Fire Emblem all that much, but you get like the triangle thing, where like we did like certain weapons, and it was basically said it's just a suggestion for him.
You might
that was for Hector. He said
you might sort of want to be, might have to swing a little extra hard for those people that use lances.
Yeah, Tom said it was for Hector, not Seth.
Okay.
Hector's also pretty funny. All right.
Both GBA
our
titles.
Second question of the week is one I'm kind of excited about. This one's from Orvos. Go ahead, Dan.
All right. What demo did you enjoy? So with this one, I actually picked a demo disc from the PlayStation, where like, I don't know if you guys remember, but like, like those demo discs where it had all like those like they had like, like 20 games on them.
You know what's freaky about those is the price they fetch online. Like, if you go look to buy those things, they're like some of the most expensive paraphernalia out there. If you can get them in good condition in a case and all that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
Because everybody abused them.
Yeah,
because
I don't know what it is.
Well, I think they came with like your PlayStation, and so it's like people probably just like threw it aside. Like, yeah, I don't want to play with that. But
I don't know, it's weird. Like, I like to own games, but then there's this like other sect of like gaming collecting where you like collect everything that was the game, like the magazines, like the posters, the like that's kind of I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
The Funko Pops and the Amiibos.
Or like the big kiosks. People like buy the display kiosks from like Target and GameStop and stuff.
Who
They
has
got like
room
the full
for those?
giant Dreamcast. Like, is it really fun to sit there standing up playing that thing, or do you just have it like a trophy piece? Like, I'm not really sure. Write us in the comments and let us know if you're one of those folks.
For sure.
I do think it's cool. I just don't have the garage to put it in.
Yeah. I'd rather get one of those like MAME arcade machines that could play like 1,000 arcade games.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about getting one that has light guns, so you can like do like House of the Dead and Time Crisis. Stuff that doesn't do so well from a couch.
Yeah, Jurassic Park and
Yeah.
So anyway. before we got like derailed a little bit, there was one game on there that I played a fair amount, and it was Tekken. I believe it was Tekken 1, and I remember playing that with my sister a lot, and I remember always playing the character King. He's got like the lion on his head. Or
do you know if it's a mask?
Panther? Is it a panther or a leopard?
Is it just his head? Because I'm familiar with Tekken, but I don't know if it's his head or if it's a mask.
So it is a mask. He's a wrestler, but as a kid, I thought that was his head. That's why I thought he was just like an anamorph or something. So I thought he was cool. So I always used him.
It's not very clear, and it's not like games back then didn't have that odd freaky thing, right? Like Yoshimitsu's like an alien or something, isn't he? Like,
I'm not sure. I'm not like huge with Tekken, but like I remember playing that as a kid, and I guess King was my favorite character. But I
always picked Paul. His hair.
Oh yeah, his hair's like.
So did you guys watch the Netflix Tekken series?
No.
It was really good, and Paul is a total badass, and I did not expect that from that character. I thought he would be like a joke character, but he's supposedly the guy who was like no contest runner-up to Heihachi in the original tournament, who won it, like as respected and feared as Heihachi is with that big giant
Wow.
brush, chef hat, haircut.
It's an extra limb to hit people with.
All Phoenix
Ooh.
boy.
Guile 2.0.
I'll headbutt
Guile
you with my
wishes.
blowout.
Guile's looking a little impotent over there.
Yeah.
I always liked the panda. He might be a Tekken Tag character only, but you could literally play as like just a panda, like an actual panda.
Yeah, I think they added a couple animals. Like I
Yeah.
think they added like a bear too, and
There's like a velociraptor or something.
Yeah.
Just one of them.
Animals in street fight.
It's a big panda too. I don't think pandas get as big as this one. This one is represented to be. Like it's like 8 feet tall. Pretty sure they don't get that large, but I might be wrong.
I'm not an expert on
Don't
pandas.
go fight pandas on my advice. Do your research first.
For me, I don't remember playing a ton of demo discs, but I do remember. I think Brave Fencer Musashi came with a Final Fantasy VIII demo disc, and I played that a fair amount before actually playing Final Fantasy VIII. So that's my pick. I mean, Final Fantasy VIII is one of those PlayStation Golden Era classics. So
how was that as a demo? Like, what did you get to do?
You get sent. You're like on the seed mission. Like I don't know if you've played 8, but it sets you like right at the seed mission or whatever, where you have to go to the radio tower and all that. So it doesn't like drop you right in Balaam Garden.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking like the intros to Final Fantasy games sometimes are like, an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
Like if you've never played it, right? Like I'm thinking like, how long is this demo?
Yeah, imagine that. It's like you don't even get into a battle and it's like it's
a
over.
really sweet demo.
No, you have like. It's been so long. I'm pretty sure you have like maybe Renoa and Cypher in your party, but I can't say for sure. I feel like it was something weird like that.
Oh, really? With
Yeah.
Squall? Like Cypher and Squall in the same party?
They do that in the mission.
Oh, do they? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like right at the beginning of the game.
Okay, I gotcha. I remember they do fight in the beginning in that cutscene.
Yeah. No, he's in your party for that mission. It's still really early in Disc 1.
I got you.
So when I think of demo discs, I think of like PlayStation. That's like what comes to mind for me. I guess obviously, right? Because there were no discs in Nintendo, but I don't think Nintendo had like a demo cartridge, right?
No,
like there
but
was
they have
nothing
like
quite like that.
championship cartridges for like Star Fox or something. I think special edition cartridges for things like tournaments, but they didn't do, or at least I don't remember demos on like Genesis or Super Nintendo or anything before PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting a couple of like promotional videos, but like not like full on demos. So
I had a
guess...
Banjo-Kazooie promotional video that was really cool. It was VHS.
I think the first time I ever played Soul Calibur, it was on a demo disc, interestingly enough. But and I guess a little bit of Cable Club lore. I'm a big Soul Calibur guy, or at least I was. Sunk hours and hours into that game, which is weird for me as a gamer, like with a fighting game. But I think of games like Bloody Roar, which I know was on there originally. I think of Parappa the Rappa. And but like definitely I know it's in our viewer pool to pick from tonight. It's a game called Ore no Riori, I think. I don't know, correct me, Steve. I need to. It's Japanese.
I'd have to look at it.
But it is I if you had held a gun to my head a week ago, I could not have told you the name of this game. I only know it because somebody put it in our viewer pool and I looked it up and saw what it was. And it's like a cooking game. And you'd like use the little joysticks to like chop and like move, and you'd like stir things and stuff, and it was like a heads up multiplayer type of thing. And like I don't know, now they have cooking games, right? Like Cooking Mama, and there's a new one, I forget what it's called. It's like a co-op, like you're running a chef's kitchen type of a thing where you're running things back and forth and cooking. But back then, I think that was like the only cooking game that I had ever seen, and I don't know why I thought it was so cool. But like, I remember playing it with my friend in elementary school, and then playing it later with Orvos, who is a real life friend. Like,
and a real life chef
game.
too.
Yeah,
it molded him into a chef.
It awoke something in him.
It reached something in the deepest, darkest parts of his soul.
I mean, apparently me too. I also like to cook, but I'm not a chef.
I love to cook, but it's not my profession.
But yeah, I mean, I think I've played that game multiplayer with like 4 people, like 4 different people. So I'd say that one's pretty up there.
Yeah,
as far as the one I picked. And then some of our answers from the Discord from you guys are Hux, who said he doesn't remember a demo disc game, but he did play the Warcraft 2 demo 100 times. He eventually bought it, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
JMO says, I've purchased an $80 AAA games that I've played less than the Tony Hawk demo disc. I can really empathize with you there. I loved Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
I kind of want to get the 1 and 2
it was so
remaster.
Good. You want a 1 and 2 remaster?
They have one. I was thinking about getting it.
Yeah, it's on Steam now.
Oh my god.
It just came out not that long ago.
Oh my god. I know what our next bonus episode's going to be.
Yeah, I think you could. It's on PS4 and 5 as well, I think.
Oh my god, it's so cool. And then Orvos himself said that his dad and his brother and he played the Hot Shots Golf 2 demo, which what feels like hundreds of times. And he only bought it as an adult, 18 years later, just because of the memories, which I think is a great story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Demo discs, man. Strange what you bond over.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, put that demo disc in. Let's mess around on that for a little bit.
It's so fun. I just still wish they had them. I think I'd still buy them if they had them.
Yeah.
Would you guys still buy like a big, like, if Steam came out with like, here's 10 games that we think you should buy, here it's a free download, you get like or I don't know, maybe it's like $5 or something like that, and you get like 20 minutes on each game. Would you guys buy that?
I mean, it really depends. Like, if I don't know, I would say if like 9 out of the 10 games I was like interested in, I probably would. But probably not if I just saw one game that I was interested in.
I think developers should give those away for free. I think it'd be a good business idea. Or like for free trials, like 10 minutes free trial or something. But then they have to worry about like the game getting ripped off of the free file or whatever. I don't know. But
yeah, who knows? I'm not tech savvy enough for that.
I was thinking about the classics that you could play on Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Do you guys remember those?
Oh yeah.
Refresh my memory.
Like Ocarina of Time on Brawl.
Oh yeah,
or you could play,
Yep. I remember that.
You got like little time demos.
Yeah, you got like 20 minutes of Ocarina of Time. Was it Ocarina of Time that you did?
Yeah, I think it was only like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's a Nintendo demo.
And try and speed run that in 10 minutes. You probably could.
Actually,
no, yeah, somebody did actually.
Yeah, there's like extra code in it or something through the Brawl or that demo disc or demo file that they could do something weird and beat the game.
All right, well that's a really good segue into our news section. You guys ready for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my headline I brought for you guys, we got some retro gaming news. How often do we get that, right? It's kind of an oxymoron, but Super Mario 64 was beaten for the first time without using the jump button.
That's wild.
Yeah,
it was completed by a player on stream. It took 84 hours total to do this, and he goes by Marbler.
So I'm curious. It's like, so obviously you got like large gaps and stuff that you need to jump over. Like what do you even do to get over those?
So I'm glad you asked, because I mean, if you've ever watched a Mario 64 speedrun, you must have, right?
Yeah,
so you kind of realize how fundamentally broken this game is.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to do my best to explain this, but this explanation is going to be good enough for no one. There's going to be a link in our description to a 5-hour-long video to explain how some of this stuff is possible. So if you're curious, go skim that. So they basically can like grab items and like you kind of have to know how to do it because this is like a 201 class, not a 101 class. But like essentially you can like grab and load up items where they become like invisible until you like can throw them or drop them, and then there's some kind of like duplication thing, but like basically it involves you walking off a cliff with like a Goomba, and you like let it go and Mario will jump on it, like he hits it and bounces off of it,
Oh, I see what
right?
you're
And that's
saying.
kind of how they do it. I don't
Yeah.
like I can't even begin to tell you because like I've never even tried to speed run Mario 64. Like I've never even tried to do the stair glitch, which I think everybody can do,
Yeah,
I've,
yeah.
right?
I've
But like,
practiced some stuff on speedrunning that game.
is it fair to call it a broken game? I kind of take a little umbrage with this because I think most of us can play this game like sane people and not run across too many glitches.
No,
Yeah.
I would say that the main thing that's broken about it is the reason you can do the long jump and like go up the stairs, the backwards long jump, is because Mario has a capped speed when he's running forward, but an uncapped speed when he's moving backwards. They just didn't realize you would do that. Like they didn't realize you could gain speed going backwards. So they
Yeah.
didn't program a speed cap. So instead, if you 5 miles an hour going forward, but unlimited speed backwards. So that's the main thing. Like, there's a lot of stuff in the game that you can do by breaking the speed, and you clip through walls and stuff. But I'd say generally that game is definitely not a broken game.
No.
Like,
I
I
wouldn't
think
you're
it
a
think
functions
kid.
pretty well, but people call it broken. I mean, if you call a glass vase broken because you're taking a hammer to it, is that true? Because I feel like that's what these speedrunners do. Like they go
No,
in
but
to
it's
break the
about to
game.
be.
so. Yeah. I mean, if you like your average Joe is just gonna pick up and play, Mario 64, chances are he's not gonna find one single glitch. So, I mean, I to me, like if the average player is playing it and has like a seamless experience, I wouldn't call that a broken game.
And it was like the first like 3D game
It's more stable than many
platformer.
follow-ups, like many
Yeah,
many follow-up 3D games. Just saying.
for the time and the amount of effort, like it's very well made, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
At the time I looked at this a couple days ago, I could not find a VOD or like a YouTube video of the guy doing it. Just this like 5-hour explanation video. But I'm sure there's a Twitch VOD if you look up Marbler, if you are interested in checking out even remotely how this works. So
Sweet.
that's my story, guys. That's what I got.
So for my news, I thought that with the release of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door on Switch, just I think it was today or it was yesterday. Anyway, it just came out, and there's actually a fair amount of differences that I wasn't aware of. I actually went out
Oh, I'm
and
gonna
picked
get
up
my
the
pen
game.
and paper out. I'm ready.
Yeah.
You tell me.
All right,
Tell me
so
if I'm buying this game or not.
they've added some art galleries and stuff, which whatever. You can battle Master Toad now in an extra battle. They added extra.
They like brought him in from the first game.
Yeah, you can find him in certain places, and he'll teach you how the battle system works. But he's apparently in this game. I haven't played it yet. They have extra pipe room for fast travel areas, so you can move around the game faster. They have a new partner ring, so when you choose your partner that you want, you don't have to cycle through them all like that. It pulls up a ring, kind of like Legend of or Sword of Mana, Legend of Mana, the Mana games. They have that ring.
Yeah, with it's like the
thing.
weapon. Yeah, I got
In
you.
Paper Mario 1, they kind of had that too, where like if you, I mean, it still went into the menu, but if you hit the down button, it brought you right to the partner menu. Oh no, wait, you could select it from the side. Like there was one of the C buttons that opened up the partner menu, and you could select one of the partners from the side, and it would just pick him. That wasn't in TTYD. You actually go into the menu.
I don't know, but this is different. It's a ring. I don't know. You can cycle back and forth. I don't.
Cool.
They added a hint system in case you come back to the game and forget where you are or you need help, which is not for me, but it is a difference. There's 2 new secret bosses, and there's an updated soundtrack. But the one bad thing is it's 30 FPS.
It's a Switch game. It's okay.
Well,
it's
I
a
mean,
Paper Mario game.
and it's an RPG too. So I mean, it's probably
Yeah,
not
but you
gonna...
have some timing stuff.
Yeah.
They have
I
updated
want to see the
visuals.
stubble on Paper Mario's face.
There's a new GameCube badge, new back sprites for the for your partners, increased capacity for items, and there's a new option you can choose. Like if you die at a boss, for example, for new players, you can choose to replay at that scene instead of where you saved last.
So it's like a lot of quality of life changes going into this one.
Yeah, and it's
Eh.
updated graphically and audibly, so if you don't have it, I definitely recommend picking it up. It sounds like they've actually added more than just a copy-paste. I think it's reworked kind of from the ground up, because it's visually different, and I don't know. It's I'm kind of excited to play it again.
Yeah, I still gotta get into the Paper Mario scene. I will eventually. Don't you guys worry.
If this was a remake of the first one, I'd be right there. Everything you just described, unfortunately, doesn't move the needle for me. Hope it does for you. But it kind of sounds like it got the Super Mario RPG treatment, which isn't bad if it's your first intro to the series. If anybody said to me, I want to play Super Mario RPG, I'd tell them to go pick up the modern copy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel
two
like
new bosses and an extra badge and a couple things, but I mean, you know, I kind of didn't want him to completely rehaul the game.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what I'm looking for to get me back into it, so I don't know.
A proper sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really what I want out of it, but like a traditional Paper Mario sequel, none of this like sticker star, you know,
that's
color
not
splash crap.
Right.
None of that.
So I'm gonna be short with mine. This was gonna be about Asus and the company as a whole and the ROG Ally. So basically, this popular YouTuber called Gamers Nexus. Basically, he went undercover, so to speak, under an alias, and he basically sent his ROG Ally in because like the left analog stick was only moving up and down; it couldn't move left or right. So he made like a fake name and whatnot. Basically went undercover, and Asus tried to get him for other things rather than actually fixing the problem. So like he had like a ding on top of his handheld, and they wanted to charge him $200 for that, even though he never asked for it. So basically, their customer service is when you send in a ROG Ally, they look over everything and they tell you, oh yeah, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed. He doesn't care about that. Like if there's a ding, who cares? I want my analog stick working. But yeah, he's a popular YouTuber with over like 2 million subscribers. So obviously that video got a lot of traction, and Asus is definitely going to be changing up their whole system now because of this video, which is good because it's like, you know, you want your customer service and warranties to be good, and that just simply wasn't.
You know what this sounds like to me?
What's that?
It sounds like car insurance. Like when something
I know,
happened.
right?
Like when I was like 19, I got somebody hit my car in a parking lot, completely obliterated the like one side of the bumper. So I take it in, and the insurance adjuster looks at it, and she says, oh, well, we're going to have to replace the bumper, but we noticed there's a scuff on the other side of the bumper, and it looks like about $400 worth of damage, so you'll have to pay $400 and we'll replace the bumper. And I said, if I don't pay $400, you won't replace the bumper, which is what you're recommending? And they're like, no, we're going to replace the bumper. And I was like, well, if it makes you feel any better, I'll give you a baseball bat and you can hit the new bumper and put the scuff back in it, as long as you just replace the bumper and don't charge me $400. Like, I didn't call you up for the scuff. I called you up for the other side of it that's completely annihilated.
I like that answer, though. I'll bring you a baseball bat and you can put it back on.
Seriously, go to town on the other side. It's fine. It's kind of like that, right? Like, you know, you send in the ROG Ally and they're like looking it over and they're like, oh, look at this dent. We're going to put some Bondo on there.
Yeah, it's going to be
extra $100.
$200, please. But I didn't ask for that. Like, it's crazy.
Yikes.
That's something interesting. Who was the person who went undercover? Did you catch the name?
Gamer
I'm
Nexus.
curious.
It was Gamers Nexus. I'll put the description in the YouTube video and all the other applications. But yeah, it's definitely worth a look if you're interested in Brog Ally.
Yeah, I am a little bit interested in that. All right, finally ready. Are we ready to rev up our engines, get into the Derby?
Hell yeah.
These are two great games to bring to the Coliseum. They're already fighting each other.
Yeah.
All right, let's get over
Driving
there.
Can you dig it?
All right, so Twisted Metal 2 and Vigilante 8 are two games that are very much in the same vein. They are Demolition Derby style games. I actually thought they were racing games
Really?
before I played them this week. Like, I thought it was like a combat racing game, kind of like a Mario Kart. That's what I thought Twisted Metal was.
Oh, you
It's
hadn't
not.
played Twisted
It's
Metal
like-
before?
Yeah.
It's like an arena combat. Yeah, so like if you've played like Battle Tanks or like, I mean, there were a ton of these style games. Like I'd even lump things like, you guys ever play Army Men
Oh, yeah.
back in the
Yep,
day?
I
Like
did.
games like that I would kind of lump into this category too. Of
Yeah,
like,
it's like what was that really popular Ultimate Combat, or there was a really, really popular PC game.
was it Unreal
Unreal
Tournament?
Tournament?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
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 Counter-Strike, stuff like that. But those are like FPSs though, so I feel like that's a little different than what we have here. Because like if you've played Mario Kart Battle, like the battle mode where you like hit each other with the balloons, that's this. That's like a whole game of
Right.
this with different imagery, both of them, right? Twisted Metal goes for that like hardcore, super like 90s fever dream.
It
Look.
does. Absolutely.
and feel-
Gritty. Yeah.
I love it.
I wouldn't call it post-apocalyptic. I think it's during the apocalypse. Like the apocalypse is happening. Like
Yeah.
so it's an apocalyptic demolition derby.
I know it definitely is.
And
You
then
have a character
Vigilante
kinda
8.
named after it.
Yeah, it has like hippies and time travel and
It's
bank robberies
every-
and cowboys and aliens and like you just ride around and try to kill each other with missiles and stuff, and that's kind of the crux of these games.
You know what it makes me think of? I hate to go a little bit off topic, but at the movie theater that we have here, where I live, there aren't a lot of them that I know about, but they have this like intro, right? And they go through all these different rooms, and then finally it comes out to this big screen, and it has like literally everything, and it's supposed to be like advertising the quality of the screen. And they have like a dragon and a castle and a sci-fi place and a train and a forest and like
Yeah, and
all these
that's
different
Vigilante
things. It's
Yeah.
like literally everything you could think of just together.
8. Dear God.
Like you put all the names in a hat for different things and you shuffle it up, but then you just throw them all out on the table anyway.
So if you're wondering why we are reviewing two games today, we have a few different kinds of episodes around here, and this is a Coliseum episode, as we mentioned at the top of the show. We take two games that are more or less pretty well known, and instead of rehashing them in a review format, we put them up against each other through our 5 categories, which are today gameplay, presentation, pacing, playability, and Steve, what was your name for X Factor? Did we ever rename X Factor?
We were thinking choice specs.
Oh, maybe choice specs. Okay, and choice specs category. But if X Factor works for you, you can say that too. And essentially, we will discuss the games in each category and vote one way or the other, and the majority takes the category. The game with the most categories at the end of the exercise is the winner over the other. And we'll explain each category as we go.
Mm-hmm.
So first up is gameplay, which is how does the game play? What are the controls like? What are the objectives? Who wants to kick us off?
I'll start with like Twisted Metal, I guess. So Twisted Metal, there isn't really much for game modes. You obviously get your co-op. You have, I believe I'm drawing a blank. It's either called like Arena or something where you just go in and you just fight a bunch of other cars. And then you also have tournament mode where it's kind of like the story mode for that game, where you go through each level and you get to just basically the only objective is to be the last man standing.
Yeah,
And on
Twisted Metal.
on Vigilante side, I think they actually expand on this. So you got like a quest mode, where you have like objectives on the map, while there's also like enemies that you need to destroy.
Yeah, so the Twisted Metal is kind of like your pure party game, right? Like you ride around, collect weapons, kill each other. That's kind of the whole game.
Yeah.
Vigilante 8 is still that, because if you kill all the opponents in a given level, even during quests, you will complete the level. But then there's like Tony Hawk style like objectives you can complete throughout the level, which help you unlock other characters in the game.
Yeah.
And actually, I wanted to take a dig at Twisted Metal here. I am baffled that Twisted Metal doesn't have some sort of save file system
Yeah.
on the
Just
PlayStation.
password.
Yep. It's just passwords.
Right, but like, how many
have
games on
memory
the
card.
PlayStation can you think of that did not have, like, did not put anything on your memory card? Like,
Yeah.
that's wild. It's got like that arcadey type feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like defend it, but I will say the only saving grace with it is the password's only like 5 characters long. So it easily, you could almost remember it by just looking at it. But yeah, I mean, I do agree with Don that, like, you know, by then you should have, you know, a save file.
I think it was the second game, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
talking
sitting
about
here
Twisted Metal 2 here.
with my notebook on my lap from like my notes from playing these games, and in the notes are like 4 sections of passwords for each character, because I was going through it trying to beat the game with different characters, and of course I would die. You only get 3 lives. It's not that easy of a game.
No,
So,
it's
but
not.
you get unlimited continues through the password. So I was like writing them down as I was going. Like this is the first time I think ever in my entire gaming history that I've written passwords down.
Yeah.
Like,
What? Really?
I mean, other games that have them that I've played are like Mega Man, right?
Dude, you can't
and,
even
like-
do Mega Mans. You have to take a picture of that one.
You gotta like
Yeah,
do a
on,
doodle.
on what? Because we're talking
Your
about like
Polaroid. You
yeah.
take a picture and wave it out.
you take a picture on your disposable camera. You tell your mom to take that thing to the pharmacy, and she goes back and gets it a month later, and there you have your Mega Man passwords. You got to wonder
Well,
what they were
finally get
thinking when
back.
they made that grid. That was that one in particular made no sense. 'Cause even the longest passwords you could still write down, but that one was like a grid. Like when you're
Yeah.
supposed
Speaking
to
of
do
games
draw a
that we
picture of it.
love,
Yeah,
Like,
you,
that
had,
we
you
love
had
that.
to. You had to as a kid.
And like I think it's Mega Man 7 or Mega Man 8. I know we're off on a tangent here, but like password screens, like that one didn't even use dots, because like it was like a battleship style grid, so I guess you could list it that way, but that one used like pictures.
Yeah,
Like
it did.
A1 might be Roll or Mega Man or Wily or Beat or whatever, right? And you'd have to like figure out which picture. Just beat Mega Man in one.
He's
He
like
took
going,
one
he's going
sitting.
through his password. He's like, ah, crap. Is that roll or is that beat?
speaking of games we love to make fun of.
Yeah, I know, right?
But like Twisted Metal,
Joe!
yeah, it's just crazy to me, because like one of the whole things about PlayStation was like the first time I think it was like the first time a memory card existed on a home console, right?
Yeah, at least that's the only time I remember it. Like,
Like
first
maybe
coming
Sega
out.
Saturn, like
I don't know about those. I know N64 had a memory pack.
right,
that
but
you could
PlayStation
put-
came out first. I think PlayStation came out a year earlier than the N64.
Maybe. I know 64 was like 95 or 96 in Japan. I don't know which one was first.
Yeah. Well, regardless, if Super Nintendo was doing it back in the day, Twisted Metal's got no excuse. I mean, there's no memory cards, but they were saved on the cartridge. So
I mean, yeah, so the whole
Well, you
game is
can't write on the
passwords, right?
disc.
And like that's okay, I guess. It's not a really long game. Like I think the speed run for it's for like 27 minutes, so I guess it could probably take you a couple hours to beat it. But like Dan said, at least the passwords are short.
yeah,
At least they had figured out password etiquette by then. That
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
would have been a game ruiner. I think the history would tell different about Twisted Metal 2 if the passwords weren't so short.
right. And this game's not easy. Like, if you're going in like fresh, you're definitely gonna die a lot and get a game over a lot. And I would actually say this for both games. I actually thought both games. I don't know if it's just I'm not good at like vehicular combat, but I was struggling with like these two titles. to get
Yeah,
far.
you got to dump a lot of time in to get really used to it all, and like learn all the cool weapon combinations that you can do, and learn the maps well, so you know where to hide and
Well,
where the shortcuts are to get to things.
that
Really, I thought
it's just
Vigilante
time.
was significantly easier. Like I got through like 2 different people's quests, and I think I didn't really struggle much at all.
we know who our champion is. But
Get to make a wish.
you know what? You know what I think it is though. It's because it's like you're sitting here trying to drive these vehicles, and obviously it's not perfect, but like you got the AI like moving these vehicles perfectly, and maneuvering where they want to go. While we're over here like stepping on the brakes, sliding everywhere, and like sometimes overshooting like where we want to drive. Because that happened to me a lot in like Twisted Metal, where it was like I would be chasing somebody, and then like they would turn, and then like I would like try to like follow them, and like eventually like lose them because they're just way better at the handling than I am.
Yeah, so about the handling, who did you guys play as? Like in both games, because I think they both kind of had similar issues, but
so
ask first.
So for Twisted Metal, I actually played almost everybody. I liked Twister because Twister like I think she's got like the best like turning, where like if you look at her bio, you can actually like see like she's like super tight turnings, and you can actually notice it. And versus like say Hammerhead, who's got like sluggish and very not so good turning.
Dude.
Yeah, I played
that one time that I played as Sweet Tooth. I'll tell you, this game breaks new ground in the ice cream truck handling video game department. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but I kind of like middle ground. Like I feel like Twister was a little too fast, but like because like don't get me wrong, her turning was great, but like she just like zips around, so it's like sometimes it's like hard to maneuver her. But I kind of just like somewhere in the middle. Like Warthog was good. Who else was decent? Roadkill, Shadow was decent. Like the cars that are like average, I tended to gravitate it towards.
Yeah.
Or Minion because he's broken. Let's be honest.
I did some Warthog, some Shadow, Sweet Tooth, and Hammer. What was his name? Hammerhead.
Hammerhead was the guy that drove the Humvee.
Yeah.
Oh, I played the guy that was the tractor. He was
Mr.
the
Slam.
excavator. Yeah, Mr. Slam. That was fun.
Who did you guys pick your car up in Vigilante?
So I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he had like the hover car with the laser beam.
Oh, Dallas.
Yeah. He was like an android. Yeah. I liked him, and I played a little of the guy with the afro too. What was his name?
I don't know. Killing me there.
Yeah, he's not the first guy on this character select screen, but he's the second guy that you get to pick.
I played Chrono, the like cop guy.
Oh yeah, he's like in a buggy or something. It was weird.
Yeah, well, his car is zippy. I found in both games the zippy cars were better, but
yeah.
Slick Clyde, he has the lightning attack, white car.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has like a robot eye or some shit.
Yeah.
So like, I let the cover art lure me in, right? like you see a guy on the Twisted Metal cover art where like his name is Axel, and he is the Axel. Like his arms are like inserted into these 2 giant wheels that are probably like 10 feet tall apiece, and he's riding around on essentially a hoverboard. Hoverboard like 2024, what a hoverboard looks like today, with giant wheels and rocket launchers on it. And you think to yourself, how could I not play as that guy? Like,
I just want to say,
why don't I go play as a race car? There's this guy.
Who the heck came up with that idea? Like, that's just so random. It's so great, but it's so random.
You know, I like to have our like child executive who's hopped up on pixie sticks.
Like Mountain Dew
example.
Come at you like a spider monkey.
No, Mountain Dew was like the 2000s. This is like the Halloween candy hopped up.
Oh
kid,
no, Mountain Dew's got to be older than that.
It is, but I think it got more popularized later. But anyway, I digress. And then like I already mentioned, Sweet Tooth's handling was so bad. But then in Vigilante, I played the Burrow Bus
Oh yeah,
solo.
yeah,
Holy cow! Like you can't. You are such a big target, and you
yeah.
can't get away. Like you just
The
get hammered on. Like you will win a one-on-one fight, but if you're playing like three or more people, like you just won't. You just
yeah
won't win.
the dumpster truck isn't much better.
And then like, so Vigilante has this progression system, right? Which I guess is more of like a pacing thing, but like you can upgrade your vehicles, right? And there's a save file, so that's a plus. So
Yep.
every time you blow up another car, there's like these power ups that come out of it, and you grab them, and they're permanent upgrades for your car, unless you die. Like if you upgrade your car and then you get out of quest mode and then you go do something else like arcade mode, you'll enter arcade mode with your upgrades. But if you die in arcade mode, you will lose your power ups. Like you'll lose some of the permanent outside the game upgrades. You're like playing Pogs for keeps
Yeah,
with the power ups. Like
Well, and you get more of those points, right? If you whammy your opponent, which is like a combo of attacks.
oh yeah, if you use your special, you can total them. So it's kind of like
Yeah,
there's like a moment, like a Mortal Kombat finish him style moment when you deplete all the health of another car, and it's like total it, and you have to use your you have to use your special,
yeah.
which for the
That's
best is
awesome.
a rear facing flamethrower. Again, with how not maneuverable you are, you can imagine trying to finish the car that's in front of you, trying to turn around quickly enough before it blows up on its own, and you don't get those chips. So
Yeah, that. Yeah, I guess this goes into presentation a little bit, like you were saying. But I like you can actually see like the physical upgrade, even when you get like weapons too. Like you see it just like go onto your vehicle, which I thought was a nice touch.
and then and like the physics of the two games. So the first time I got hit in Twisted Metal and I went flying, I was like super off put by that. And then I turned on Vigilante 8 and I understand exactly why that happens in Twisted Metal, because the first time you run into somebody and don't move and then you guys circle each other like two dogs
Yeah,
trying to sniff each other's
yeah,
buttholes like while shooting at each other, you understand why you get sent flying in Twisted Metal, so that you're not doing that the whole time. Because I spent more time just dancing around in a circle, going like 5 miles an hour, trying to shoot people
yeah.
in
I was
Vigilante
doing that
8
too.
than
Yeah,
ever. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're
and
talking
speaking
about.
of that, like it's really cool to have hovercraft ability or
No, it's
whatever,
not.
but it's so awful.
Yeah,
You can't aim and you can't control it well. It's just terrible.
Ice
It's just,
physics is putting it gently. The first time I saw it happen, I was playing as the bus, and in the first level, you play against the RV, and he had the hover thing, and I thought he like ran into a debuff or like some kind of bomb or something, because he was like flying like side to side, like almost upside down and everything, and I was like, what is going on? Like even the computer couldn't control it properly. Like and then I got it myself, and I'm like, oh no. Like
I understand
it's
now.
another stage hazard to avoid.
it was a
Yeah.
stage hazard. It definitely was.
Well, with that
Well,
being
You could
said, that's why
in
I'm
the
going.
bus, right? Like it made it 10
No.
times worse.
I'm going with Twisted Metal 2 on this one. I mean, I had fun with both of them, but I think there's too much jank overall in Vigilante 8.
Yeah.
That's my pick.
Yeah. For me, I mean, it's still tough for me to pick. So obviously I'm a little biased towards Twisted Metal because I grew up with that game, and Vigilante 8 I have not. But I definitely noticed going back to Twisted Metal that there was some flaws, like especially with like the performance. Like it's almost a night and day difference between Twisted Metal and Vigilante. Like Vigilante is definitely a lot smoother. Um
I'd say all around better graphics too, but it is
yeah,
three.
better. It is 3 years older, but yeah. I am gonna go with Vigilante 8 on this one, but it's very slightly. I just think it just slightly wins for me.
You like the sniffing each other, going around in a circle?
Not like that. I just think it's just a better made game because obviously it had it grew from Twisted Metal, like it saw like what Twisted Metal did and stuff like that. But again, it was close. Like it could go either way for me, but I'm gonna give it the extra push for Vigilante 8.
I guess the last thing I wanted to bring up real quick was like the inputs. Like both games had like
Yeah, they
fighting
both
game
have them.
style
Yeah.
inputs
Yep,
to
they do.
improve weapons now, but like Twisted Metal handles it like you just get it from the get go. Vigilante 8, you have to have like specific weapons and know the specific inputs for the specific weapons, and each weapon has like 3 inputs, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I found the Twisted Metal ones, although I was taken aback at the amount of codes at first, you realize that there's like 4 or 5 that you're like definitely going to use, and you start to memorize them, and it's not bad. Whereas I found the Vigilante one much more intimidating.
Yeah.
That is
That's a
not
good
the
way to
whole
give the
reason
game
that I'm giving it to
extra
Twisted
movements.
Metal 2, but it is definitely another reason on the in the pile up as to why I'm giving it to Twisted Metal 2. Presentation. Presentation is the category where we talk about how the games look and feel, character designs, level design, setting, music, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Your eyes, ears, and I think those are the only 2 orifices that we currently intake games from.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can smell Vigilante 8.
Take a whiff. Says
I don't know,
Morlo.
I think
Bayou
the
level.
I
Yeah.
think the presentation, at least on Twisted Metal side, speaks for itself by, looking at the cover of the game. Before you even pop that sucker in, you're like, this looks ridiculous. I need to play it.
Both covers, really. The other
Yeah.
one has like a flaming bus with guns on it.
Yeah.
Like,
But like seriously, like Axel, like in all his glory. It's just crazy.
it
And
makes you
then
wonder why Sweet Tooth gets like so much love. Like when people think of Twisted Metal, I feel like Sweet Tooth is what you
yeah,
think of.
I think
Axel
he's
is like bonkers.
I think he's the
Twisted Metal
mascot.
Black. Yeah. Twisted Metal
Yeah.
Black for the PS2. He's on the cover.
You know, I guess Pikachu wasn't on the cover of his game to begin with either, so
Pokemon
Yeah.
Yellow Special Edition.
eventually he got there, yeah.
But yeah, like you greeted with like awesome music in Twisted Metal. Like the theme song is a banger. And like I don't know, it's like the first 3 levels are such bangers. Then it like turns into like almost like dramatic. Where it's like the
Yeah,
game
like they fired one music producer
Yeah.
and hired another halfway through the
Yeah. Or the way I was thinking of it is like you're kind of getting far in this tournament, so it's like, okay, now we're gonna like kind of cut out like the party and rock on music, and now we're gonna be serious.
that first level's music is really good. It's
Yeah.
kinda got that
Well,
really
they made
like
sure to
punk
make
rock
the
feel.
first level's music good because that's like your first experience, right? They want you to come back.
Yeah.
First level music's generally pretty good in games.
Yeah. I feel like,
Like, if
that's
you
a big
think about
selling
it-
point. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I feel like you've said this before. You feel like the first level should be your best level, and I kind of agree
Yeah.
a bit. And
Like think of Symphony of the Night. For
First or
example.
last should be the best.
and there's like tons of like little Easter eggs to find throughout the levels.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a lot of care
You could-
put into the Twisted Metal levels.
Yeah. Like you
Teleport to the
just-
top of
just
the
in
Eiffel
general.
Tower or whatever.
Yeah, you can blow
Yeah.
up
Stuff like
like
that.
the Hollywood sign, the Eiffel Tower.
The Aztec level, there's like underground paths. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, a member of our community logged on while Dan and I were playing co-op this week, Orvos, and he gave us like a tour of certain levels because he was a big player of this game back in the day. And
Yeah.
like he was like telling us to shoot random stuff, and you could see all the interactables.
Yeah.
Like you could like blow the Statue of Liberty's dress thing off, well, her judge gown off. And just she'd either be like fat or skinny with a bikini on.
Yeah, I think it all depends on like how much damage you do to her too, which is
Yeah.
funny. And then yeah, that level's actually packed with stuff because I believe like if you drive off like the side of the building, you can actually if you're in the right area, you can actually see like a code. I think for Minion and Sweet Tooth if you actually fall in the right areas, which I think is a pretty good Easter egg.
Yeah, no, I think that just like visually, the game really brings its own style forward, pretty much from all senses, just from looking at it, and like I really like the character designs, like on the character select screen,
Yeah.
like when you can look at them and you can see like the character bios, like they put some thought into the character bios, like that the character, his name I have it written down that he's
Explain them to me. I can tell you.
roadkill,
Yeah.
where he knows he's in a game, and like
Oh yeah,
somebody.
he breaks the fourth wall. Yeah.
Yeah, and somebody was telling me this week that apparently he's the guy that becomes like the new Sweet Tooth. I can't remember.
Oh, does he? I didn't know
I can't
that.
remember Sweet Tooth's name, but like the Twisted Metal Black Sweet Tooth might be a different Sweet Tooth than the one we know here. Like the big muscular one
Yeah.
versus like the skinnier one that we have in this game.
Right.
And then there's like like each character has like the whole reason that they want to be in the tournament. And like it kind of plays into it, right?
Where
Because
they get their own wish.
Yeah. By
yeah, well,
Calypso.
it has this like apocalyptic vibe to it because there's this guy like Calypso who grants these wishes, right? And that's like the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And then Vigilante, I thought was going to be kind of the same because all I've ever heard from people about Vigilante was like, oh, it's budget Twisted Metal, and like when you flip it on for the first time and you get that like.
The
Dear
70s.
God, shut your mouth. Like, disco music.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening here? I have to say, I was, it's not my style, but I think I was pleasantly surprised they didn't just copy paste Twisted Metal and they did their own thing.
Yeah.
It was nice that they did. I made sure to point out in my notes that Vigilante 8 had kind of a wider range of music. They had
It
some
did.
country style songs, some rock songs, some like disco style songs. And it was nice for a wide range of musical tastes, but I'm a rock and roll kind of guy, so
Yeah.
for the music, man, Twisted Metal was getting me pumped up.
Yeah. None of the music in Vigilante really like grabbed me and sucked me in. Some of the tracks were decent, but like they didn't like nothing like Twisted Metal.
Not
Didn't
that like
suck you in
opening
like
song
Twister.
where they're like singing it. Vigilante.
Yeah, I'm not about it, man.
Second offense. Not that bass. It is pretty. I think both games could be described as having thoughtful music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they didn't phone it in, right?
No.
And I think to just be like, oh yeah, this is budget Twisted Metal is probably a little bit unfair.
I think it
at
is.
least in the presentation regard. That's like saying there's no space for other Demolition Derby games because it really is a very different presentation.
Yeah. I
And-
think it feels and looks different enough to be its own identity, in my opinion.
And
It feels more like battle tanks than Twisted Metal in a lot of ways.
yeah, and like Dan said, I really liked how you could see like the weapons clipping onto your
Yeah.
your vehicle as you went.
Yeah, and you can change the color of your vehicle. Like Dawn said,
Yeah.
like the salvage parts. Those stuff like visually change your vehicle. So like, there's a lot of customization in Vigilante 8 that's not present in Twisted Metal. Like, what you see is what you get in Twisted Metal.
Yeah, it's like pick your character and go, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's just different. I think overall, just for like creativity alone, just because I feel like Twisted Metal is exactly what I expected it to be in a Demolition Derby game, and I think because I was so surprised by Vigilante 8. Plus, I think Vigilante 8 runs at a higher frame rate. I could be wrong.
No, it has to, dude.
Yeah,
like
but it
you
definitely
and
felt smoother.
yeah, me and you both noticed it. Like it's almost like night and day. Like going from Twisted Metal to Vigilante.
And my own musical taste notwithstanding, I think I'm going to go with Vigilante 8 for the presentation,
Oh,
actually.
really? I see.
Like, I think it holds up better. I think the 90s were such, like, a weird blip that I don't know that, at least in current history, that, like, the 90s has a super iconic standing in, like, the way that people think about style, or at least talk about it. Whereas I feel like the 70s, like somebody says the 70s, and you're like, it like evokes images, right? And then
Yeah.
when somebody says the 90s, you're like, well, which social group were you in? Were you in nerds
In the
or jocks
90s,
or,
I'm thinking
or
like
jocks?
Saved
Like,
by the Bell.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think like Rocco's shirt from Rocco's Modern Life is what I think of the 90s.
The
Yeah.
Offspring.
Like the little, yeah. I mean, I can like pick and choose certain things. I just can't like come up with a like I don't know. Just something in my mind makes the era of the 70s a little bit more discernible and a little bit more future proof. Or maybe it's just so weird we're never going to forget it. But
Yeah. All right, so I think I'm going to be a little biased with this one.
such as your charge.
So, you know, like I was saying before, you know, coming out the gate with like the, you know, looking at that cover, loading up the disc, hearing that first music play, like it just sets the tone for the game. And like a lot of those themes in that game is, you know, I didn't even need to replay it to remember those songs, because they were just so iconic to me back then that I remembered them to this day, especially like the first 3 tracks. And you know, I'm not just gonna say I'm gonna pick this game just because of the music, but like, you know, nostalgia is just like a powerful thing. You know, I typically, you know, presentation wise, I just like the characters, how they looked more. Like Dawn was saying, like the bios and stuff like that. You know, Vigilante's got its own thing going, and I'm not gonna knock that, but like the Twisted Metal's got my vote for this one.
All right, I base mine mostly off of music because the graphics in both games, sure, one is better than the other, but like when you're getting into it and deep into it, like you almost forget about the graphical problems in either game because you're more focused on the action at hand rather than like exactly how does that look or how does this look. So it kind of just like, I don't know, it went over my head when I was playing. So, but the thing that's getting me more and more excited while playing is the music. Like that subconsciously had a bigger effect on me. And even though Vigilante 8 looks better and it has things like cutscenes that, you know, to introduce their characters and story and stuff, like they did really, really good. So it wasn't an easy decision, but my musical bias just took me over on Twisted Metal 2. I just, it got me more pumped up and excited. So I guess presentation-wise, it really hit all the knobs and levers for me.
Fair enough.
Moving on to pacing. So pacing is the category where we talk about just the general pace of the game. Was it too long, too short? What was the story like? You know, did it? What was progression like? That sort of thing, and how it was handled. So I'm going to start this one. I'm going to say that, you know, Vigilante 8, each character had like their own quest, and I guess you could sink a lot of time into that. You could sink a lot of time into upgrading the vehicles. And then during each quest, there was like stories that were unfolding as you played through the quest. And, you know, the progression is very, like, it's very easy to understand with all the upgrades and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's darn near unforgivable that you can lose your permanent upgrades by dying, because that really feels bad.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good at all.
And then I'd say, you know, Twisted Metal is like, oh, you get your character bio in the beginning when you pick the character, and then you get your ending. And I feel like that's it. But I don't know that you need too much more than that.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought
especially
it was
with
neat.
that story. So
Yeah, I thought it was neat with what Vigilante 8 did with like if you did like the quest mode, and then like in between levels during like the loading screen, it would actually give you like snippets of the story. Like I thought that was a clever use of like, you know, load times.
Loading screen?
Yeah. You know,
we're spoiled now. No more loading screens. This is actually they still come up. What was I playing?
Yeah, some games.
I was playing something recently. There's a loading screen.
I know Spider-Man has one when you start because they have to load such a huge map.
I remember, like I've watched I've watched like criticisms of games when they do like walking loading. Like when a character is like, there's one that they like to talk about from like Tomb Raider, where she's like crawling through a small space, and that's the game loading, and it's like, dude, what do you want? Like, do you want the
Yeah,
screen
that
to go
seems-
black and have like a jarring like graphic on it with her like running across the screen slowly as the game loads? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so like one of those things pulls you completely out of the game's immersion.
Right.
Completely.
It's a great way to
The
handle
other
loading.
one
I think it's very
It's
tactful.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Whoever thought that deserves a medal.
For
He's
sure.
just a large child that likes chicken nuggets and ketchup together. I don't know what to say. Like, he's got to complain about everything.
Ketchup is not a condiment on this podcast.
I love ketchup, but not on my chicken nuggets. Buffalo sauce or honey mustard or, something like that, but not ketchup.
What were we talking about again? All right. So even though Twisted Metal doesn't have a save file, I still feel like there's some learning curve. Like if you were just playing this game blind and you had the manual, you would if you just turned the game on and started like dying, you might look through the manual like I did when I played through Vigilante 8. But you'll figure out the codes, right? And then like maybe you'll drive off the roof accidentally, and you'll figure out the code for Sweet Tooth, and you'll punch that in because you know what it is. Like there is some element of progression, and there's a minion code somewhere, right? Like so you can feel yourself getting better, and the game doesn't take very long, and you have infinite continues through the passwords. Which, if this were any other contest, like so, Vigilante 8 handles continues better. I'm just gonna say I don't like having to punch in the password every time.
Yeah, I don't really think anyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of codes, I think in Twisted Metal, they're like absolutely a necessity, especially if you're playing on normal or higher. Unless you're just like really good at the game, but it's just like some of those codes are like really good, like like inputting like the shield and whatnot. Like that'll just help you progress through the game. If you're not very good, if you can just learn like a couple of codes, you can get pretty far in the levels.
I beat Vigilante 8, those two quests without using any codes, and I was on difficult. They're not really necessary.
I think Vigilante is definitely on the easier side. I mean, maybe they learned something from Twisted Metal being a little too hard, which I do agree that at least on the normal mode, it definitely should have got toned down. Because it's very unforgiving. I can only imagine how hard it is because I don't even remember. But that's probably
that
like
kind of falls
insane.
into my playability.
Yeah,
the vehicles like all the enemies kind of like turn on you like halfway through the tournament. Like once you reach level 5 and 6, like you really starts to become obvious. Like you'll notice in the first level of Twisted Metal that they do attack each other, but they never seem to deal the finishing blow. Like you kind of have to do it, unless something accidentally happens. But like by level 5, you start to realize they are definitely not attacking each other at all.
That and they don't seem to do a lot of damage to each other either. Like they probably hit each other, but it's like for minimal damage. But like as Don's saying, it's like they got in their heads like, whoa, this guy's actually progressing pretty far. We should nip that in the bud.
So in Vigilante, the enemy does team up against you, but there's a reason for it. So in Vigilante, there's two different groups of people. There's the Coyotes and there's the Vigilantes.
Yeah,
the Vigilantes
factions.
are I guess the protagonists, the people trying to stop the Coyotes, and the Coyotes are like a road gang type of a thing.
Time traveling road gang.
Isn't there's a third faction too, right? Called the Drifters.
Yeah, and they're just not part of a faction,
right?
Like, so the Drifters, I don't think work together, but
they're like just people that are in it for the excitement.
they're
there's
independents.
There's a car battle. Let's just jump in.
Look, honey,
there's a car battle. Let's join in.
Yeah, we're just here to have fun.
I got a couple of rockets in the trunk.
So at least when you play as a coyote and you're getting ganged up on by the two vigilantes, it checks out, right? So they kind of have a reason for it. And you're usually trying to get something done that the other team doesn't want you to do. Like when I played as the bus, they were like, "Oh yeah, basically go rob this ski resort and steal all their money." And the vigilantes are trying to stop you from doing that. So it makes perfect sense that they would attack you.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
Yeah, for pacing, I went with Vigilante 8. I just additional objectives feels nice, and with the cutscenes and I don't know, I just feel like it pushed it in a stronger direction for me. I
all the
think that
cutscenes, if you beat the game with the multiple characters and get their endings, all the cutscenes flow into one another. Like if you do them in an order, you can see like a whole thing play out.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
huge for
Yeah.
replayability.
yeah, it's kind of a little interesting thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also gonna go with Vigilante 8 on this one. I just like the progression of like, when your car can change and all that stuff. The little snippets of the stories during the loading screen and stuff like that. Like, with Twisted Metal, like I feel like it's very bare bones in like the pacing department, where it's like basically the games, it's you pick a car and then there's an ending when you beat the game. And that's it. Like, yeah, like the difficulty is like I guess you could look forward to as you progress, as like cars turn on you. But I don't know, like Vigilantes just got so much more with like quests, being able to customize your car, change the color and whatnot. So yeah, Vigilante for me.
I think that it's hard to say that Twisted Metal has like pacing in general because Twisted Metal really feels like a fighting game where you pick your character at the beginning, you go through the various matches, and then you have your ending after you beat the big final boss.
Yeah.
The game does have two bosses. Vigilante only, I think, it only has like one kind of boss at the end. But it's yeah, it doesn't really hold up the same way, and it's not really designed to. It feels kind of arcadey to me, like with the whole password system and with the no saves and
definitely.
stuff. So yeah, I think I'm just going to stick with Vigilante 8 here because there is like an actual progression to the game you can play through. Even if I don't forgive it for taking all my pogs.
Well, you're supposed to get good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't ever die. Don't. And they took 3 pogs. You're in the pogs one at a time most of the time when you're in the bus because you can't use a special weapon to total somebody.
You
And
have
they
to
take 3 of your
sniff their
pogs when they
butt.
total you. So wrong. All right. Next category is playability. I like to
Playability.
talk about where you can play these games.
Yeah,
And
one of them is extremely replayable because of that, and the other is not.
yeah, so I think you can play Twisted Metal off on the PlayStation Store.
4 and 5.
Yeah, on PlayStation 4 and 5. I don't know that Vigilante 8 is available.
Nope, it's Dreamcast, N64, and PlayStation only.
Yeah, you can pretty
Yeah.
much play it like on a lot of the PlayStation consoles, like PlayStation, obviously PS3, PSP. It was also released on the PC.
Are you talking about Twisted Metal or
Yeah,
Vigilante?
Twisted Metal. Sorry.
Yeah.
PS Vita, and like you guys said, PS4 and PS5. There's a lot of places you can play Twisted Metal too.
Yeah, so it just, I think it's hard to play Vigilante 8 nowadays, but if you own it, the question I think is would you pop it in to play over Twisted Metal? I think if I was by myself, maybe, but I think I would play something else, probably.
Yeah.
But if I was
Definitely.
with somebody else, like I had so much fun playing co-op with Dan.
Yeah.
That
it
one
was
night,
great.
like I'm liable to boot that up again and do it again. Like
Yeah.
it was awesome. Even though you don't get continues in that mode, we almost beat it.
Yeah.
Like we were at level 6 out of 8. Like
On which game?
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play 2-player, and I think that adds to the playability a lot.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I think that in general, that Vigilante 8 kind of lends itself a little bit better as a one-player game because of the objectives that you can collect in the levels and all that, the customization of the cars and spending time on that. So, like, it kind of depends on the company you're keeping at the time, right? Would you
Yeah,
say
I mean,
that
you
Vigilante
definitely
8?
can put a lot more time into Vigilante 8, for sure.
Yeah,
There's a lot more like things to do
Yeah,
in that game. And
for
if you
sure.
got really good at it, you could probably just like farm arcade mode for your upgrades. Or you could
probably.
punch in the cheat code because we're back in the era of cheat codes to just get max upgrades for all the vehicles because they're going to steal your pogs anyway.
You can either go to Cheat CC, the website, or you can go to the grocery store and pull out the cheat book at the magazine section and start writing them down. So when you get home, you got the cheat codes.
So I don't know. For me, Twisted Metal fills that party game vibe. Like I could see because I have like a New Year's party every year. Like I could see putting that on and us having a good time with it because we play Mario Kart Battle and have a good time with it. And I think it's like a good throwback because we're all about the same age and we all lived through this era.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna go with Twisted Metal for playability.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, it's just Twisted Metal. Like, it's just basically pick up and play. I mean, Vigilante, you can do that too, but like, it's a little more involved. Um, with the quests and whatnot. But like, I just found like the characters in Twisted Metal, like the cars themselves, just a little more interesting. Like the specials were more fun, like especially like Twister, like when you like twist them and they got you in that tornado. That's just so
The
fun.
car like turns on its nose and it's just like turning
Yeah.
around.
And then you got
I don't even
Mr.
think it would do anything in real life, but it creates like a wind that like picks you up and stuff. I mean, you can launch a tornado in Vigilante 8, just saying, like a real life tornado.
Yeah, I just think the cars are just straight up just cooler in Twisted Metal. Like I actually wanted to play every single character in Twisted Metal, where it was like you got Mr. Slam, slamming all like the vehicles, or like Shadow with like his like shadow
A
missile.
hearse,
Yeah.
Yeah, hearse.
a monster truck, a tank, an
Yeah.
ice cream truck.
Yeah, so for me, this is definitely gonna go in Twisted Metal 2's favor.
I actually went the other way because of the single player focus. A lot of times it's hard to get together with people. We have busy lives as grown ups, so being able to come back to the extra objectives that you can do and the customization and the time that you can spend, and then the endings. I just found out that playing them all lets you get a whole entire like long cutscene. It's pretty cool. It gives an extra incentive to beat it with everybody and come back and replay it. I know it's difficult if you don't emulate because it's only on 3 consoles, but I mean, as opposed to Twisted Metal. However, I would say that, pretty much any PC could emulate, Vigilante 8. So I went with Vigilante 8 for a couple of those single player focused reasons.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, guys. Okay. It's not a clean sweep.
Nope.
X Factor or Choice Specs. Choice Specs is the category where we can essentially talk about whatever we want and let our biases flow. For some of us, we let our biases flow in this category, and for others, for the rest of us, we just let our biases flow all the time. Isn't that right, Dan?
Oh yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
It is our podcast, after all.
If you want your opinion to matter, then you should write in and we might read it.
We might. Only if we like it. We can also talk about unique aspects of these games, which is what I'm going to talk about for my choice specs. Which is, I feel like the question here is demons or disco. Those are your two choices, right? And I like the whole like Calypso vibe, how he grants people's wishes, but half the time it's like Monkey's Paw, where
yeah,
there's like
Yeah.
Twister's wish is to be able to drive fast, like to like go beyond like faster than anyone's ever driven, and she ends up like traveling back in time because she goes so fast, but then her car runs out of gas and she's like stuck with the dinosaurs, like kind of stuff. It's just like crap like that, or like the old guy who's like 100 years old wishes for a 20-year-old body, so he gives him a body, but his head is still an old man's head.
Yeah, I love Calypso.
And then there's just like the people that show up to completely like own him. Like there's his daughter Grasshopper, who's like an android who was made by the government, so he would like hug her, and then the android like blows up and kills him.
Yeah.
And then there's Minion, who's some kind of demon that Calypso stole the powers from. So he like tackles him into the air and then into like a hell vortex. Like it's just good. It's got like its own crazy madness vibe to it, you know? And it's like in the first game they blew up LA. Like LA is now a crater. And like Calypso's like, what are we gonna blow up next? Like basically the whole world. And you're like, you're going through and you're blowing up like the Eiffel Tower, and you're you know, blowing up the Statue of Liberty, and like these Aztec temples and everything. Like it's just madness, you know.
Temples
and,
that have been there for thousands of years.
and like I don't know, Vigilante just doesn't have the same kind of staying power for me personally. Yeah. Having been through that, like been through the 90s. So I'm going to go with Twisted Metal for my X Factor just because it feels right. It feels like it should be a high-powered, crazy demolition derby, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just nails everything.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just hit the nail on the head there, Rose. Basically, when you think of like vehicular combat, like what's the first thing that comes into your head? It's basically Twisted Metal.
Clown with flaming hair, obviously. You
Mario Kart battle mode.
Get out of here.
Mario's got flaming hair. Mario just dumps gasoline on his head.
I don't like Mario Kart battle mode.
Really? That's a hot take.
I like Twisted Metal more than Mario Kart battle mode.
Okay, me too. I'll be honest.
I'd rather race.
Yeah.
A Mario Kart.
Yeah. But yeah.
Stop freezing me. You're cheating.
I mean, it's just.
Oh, who shot the lightning bolt?
Yeah, for me, I don't know. It's just maybe it was just, you know, the time as a kid. I never really picked up Vigilante 8, and like Don said, it just doesn't have the staying power for me. Like I played both games, and it could just be the nostalgia factor, like really, you know, reeling me in for Twisted Metal. But I just think it's a straight up better game. You know, I think performance wise, you know, Vigilante's better, but like I don't think that's like the sole reason it you know should win it over, because I love how ridiculous Twisted Metal is, and all the endings are like just hilarious in one way or another. So you know, I'm gonna go with Twisted Metal.
So for my choice specs, I have a good amount of nostalgia for Twisted Metal 2, even though I, you know, don't remember a whole lot about the game. I more remember the times playing the game. It's one of the first games that I didn't own that a good friend of mine did. So it was something like I'd have to go to his house to play it with him. And, you know, bonding over that was really like nice to come back to the game and remember those kinds of memories that I just don't have for Vigilante 8 because I hadn't played it until you know, reviewing it for this podcast. So, you know, just it meant something more to me than just a game. You know, it meant like a reminiscence of a friendship that I used to have. So, those fond memories pushed me into the Twisted Metal category for this, or the Twisted Metal pick for this category in choice specs.
There it is. There's our discussion. You guys ready to move on?
Sure thing.
Ready to drive on.
Before we get to our final tally, if you weren't paying attention, I just want to mention that if you made it this far in the video, you must like what you hear at least a little bit. So don't forget to hit that like button, or if you're listening on a podcasting platform like Spotify or Apple or Amazon, basically anywhere, don't forget to leave a kind rating or review. It really helps the show, really gets us jazzed, and makes us love doing this. And I'll drone on a little bit about our subscriber goals. So we have, I think it's 64 YouTube subscribers right now. We made a bonus video when we reached 50 subscribers. If we reach 100 subscribers on YouTube, we'll release another bonus video. But this also goes for any other platform. So if we reach 50 followers on any platform other than YouTube, we'll release a bonus video. And we are up to 32 people in our Discord right now. If we get up to 50 people in our Discord, we will also release a bonus video. So those are a bunch of ways that you, the listener, if you're sitting on the sidelines, jump in and help us release more content. I can tell you that for my money, the Discord is definitely the best place to come hang out with us. It is the place where you can influence the show. We have a lot of fun over there, not just talking about the show, but we talk about pretty much all things gaming, news, memes. We have a small Slay the Spire community over there that, I'd say pretty much goes off every couple of days. So yeah, consider joining our Discord. The link will be in the description below. So, final tally. Who was keeping score? I was.
I was.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
Dan, were you?
I kept my own.
In my opinion, is the only one that matters anyway.
If Twisted Metal doesn't win, I riot.
He's gonna go on strike.
I'm gonna go.
Don't say that too loud.
Yeah.
All right. So for gameplay, the winner is Twisted Metal 2 with 2 out of 3 votes. Dan was the only one who voted for Vigilante 8. The heck, Dan?
The heck?
On presentation, Twisted Metal 2 was the winner. The one 2 out of 3 votes. The other vote was Dawn on Vigilante 8. What the heck, Dawn? For pacing,
Shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth. On pacing, all 3 of us, Vigilante 8. That's kind of a gimme category for it.
Yeah.
For playability, the winner is Twisted Metal 2 with 2 votes. The only one that didn't vote for Twisted Metal was me. What the heck, Steve? And finally, choice specs. All 3 of us clean sweep Twisted Metal 2. That gives Twisted Metal 2 4 out of 5 categories.
Oh.
Finally, another Cable Club first today. A not 3-2 victory. It's a 4-1 victory. And actually,
we
it's
are groundbreaking.
I think it's 9 votes total for Twisted Metal and 6 for Vigilante 8, if I counted correctly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I think
6 for V8.
The votes on Discord too was heavily in Twisted Metal's 2's favor as well.
Yeah, you could say that. So that's what we think. What did you guys think? You guys thought unanimously 100% that Twisted Metal was better than Vigilante 8.
Well, I guess.
I mean, we showed a little mercy, but Discord did not.
No, you totaled it. You did.
Omae wa mau shinderu.
That's funny.
So to answer the question that set off this Coliseum, which is Vigilante 8, we have Twisted Metal at home? The answer is apparently yes.
Mommy, can I have Twisted Metal 2? We have Twisted Metal 2 at home.
It's the bus game.
The bus game.
Yeah. I mean, if I were a kid playing that game, there's no way I wouldn't play as the bus.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't want to cut you off there.
That's fine. I wanted to say, like, kind of like going off of what we were just saying, like when we were like talking in our collaboration, where like I mean I don't 100% mean this, but like I basically said that like Twisted Metal was Coca-Cola and Vigilante 8 was basically like the supermarket store brand.
Tab soda, you said, or something
I said
like
tab
that?
soda, yeah.
Like, yeah,
It's
Sam's
like
Choice
Sam's
or whatever.
Choice.
Yeah, definitely got those vibes. So, I genuinely had a good time for the last 2 weeks, but it's time to set these 2 games aside. And now we are going to do one of my favorite things on this podcast, which is pick a game from the viewer pool. All right, so we're going to pick from our viewer pool, which is Steve. How many games are in the viewer pool this time?
12.
Ooh, nice.
That's a new record, but still,
I'm sorry. That's a mistake. There's 9. My mistake.
9?
Yeah, I accidentally was looking at the total number of lines on the spreadsheet and realized that there is a game line and a date line. So
I think I count 10. I think there's 10 in there.
oh yeah, it might be that. Sorry guys,
Steve
It's
is
10.
broken.
yeah, it's been a long
Alright.
day.
10. So 10 games, which is a pretty good amount, but I do want to note that 10 games is a few amount. If you want to get an episode of our podcast done about the game that you want to hear about, all you have to do is, actually, this is a Discord only feature now. Join the Discord and enter your game in the Victory Road chat. It has to be 20 years or older, which is what these folks did. So now, anyway, I don't want to drone on about it. Steve, randomly pick one of these games because I'm very excited to get started.
All right, here we go. Randomizing now.
Oh boy. Lay
What'd
it
you
on
get?
me.
It's not. It's kind of funny because we were talking about it earlier.
Really?
We got Ore no Ryori, the cooking sim on PlayStation, submitted by Orvos.
Wow.
Yes! I get to finally figure out, like 22 years later, if this is actually a good game or if I just thought it was a novelty.
So you said it was a cooking game. What I'm wondering is there going to be enough to talk about, actually?
I don't know. We're going to find out. So if you're listening, grab a copy of Ore no Ryori and play along with us for the next couple weeks.
Yes, it'll be awesome.
And you can all practice your Gordon Ramsay voices. Oh, come on!
That's going to be the theme for the next episode for sure. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. I can't imagine we ever get another cooking sim on this podcast, so this is it.
Yeah.
I'm very glad this one won.
It's like a dog's dinner.
Oh man.
Oh, we're definitely going to have to play some like competitive against each other too. To get on the net play for this. And as we wrap up here, I just wanted to thank you for listening. If you're still with us, again, if you're listening to us here on YouTube or if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, just know that we exist in other places too for anybody else that in your life that wants to talk about retro gaming and they prefer a different podcast platform. And I'll just say one more time to join our Discord to become part of the conversation, play along with us. I think it's been a lot of fun having those folks over there.
Yeah.
Backing up the show, providing
Yeah.
material.
It's just a click away. That's all it is. And you can just join in all the fun that we have.
Yep.
Yeah, you can join in on the server and mute it if you don't want notifications. Pop in whenever you want and say something or join the conversation. It's really not a huge commitment, so it would mean a lot to us for such a small commitment. I'd love to see you here.
Free for you, fun for us.
Yep.
Fun for all.
All right, fellas, did I forget anything?
No, I don't think so.
Then it's game over time.
Game over.
Game over.
Time, monster. You don't belong in this world.